Hello, Wayland Middle School's Mr. Farley here for another fantastic video. This time, let's spend a couple minutes looking at a system and then determining what is the best method that I should use. All right, that's a question you should be asking yourself. So let's give this a shot. So here's the question. When should I solve a system by graphing? Well, one thing, and this is probably the most obvious, you need to have a piece of graph paper with you. You need to have a coordinate plane with you. You need to have some place where you can graph the line. If you don't have that, I think you're in some trouble, right? So you definitely, step number one, you need to have a graph. All right, that's really important. Once you have a piece of graph paper, or Mr. Robinette or I gave you gave you a coordinate plane to work with, take a look at the two equations. All right. Make sure both of these equations are in slope intercept form. They have to be in y equals mx plus b form. That makes it so easy to graph. We've been doing this for months. You know how to do it. Identify the y-intercept, identify the slope, graph the lines, and then you would be able to find the point of intersection and solve that system. So for graphing, you need a piece of graph paper, or you need an XY coordinate plane, okay? And you need two equations that are in slope intercept form, or equations that you can put into slope intercept form very easily. So that's graphing. All right, let's take a look at the second one. The second option that we're taking a look at is, when should we use substitution? Okay. So here, even though on this slide we have a graph here, you'll never use a graph to solve by substitution. Okay. No need for the graph. All right. That's not going to be used. But when you solve using substitution, make sure when you look at your system, if you can find one equation that has an X or a Y by itself already, then that's probably a good sign that you want to use substitution. Okay. And right here, we have y by itself already. It's set up beautifully. Y is equal to negative 4x. That means you could take that negative 4x, plug it right in for the y, and then continue and solve your system. All right. So for substitution, super important, right here where the stars are, you need to have an equation that has a variable by itself. We're very lucky right here. The y is by itself. That helps us when we use substitution. That would be the right choice. Finally, the last one, when should we use elimination? Okay. Once again, with elimination, you will not use a graph. Okay. It's not going to be used. So we don't need that. But what you need to look for in your system, you have to see if you can easily eliminate a variable. And when I look at this system jumping right out at me, I'm seeing a negative y and a positive y. If I eliminate these like so, I can then very easily solve the system. All right, I can find out that by dividing by 5, x is 3. And if x is 3, I'm going to be able to go back and plug that into one of these two equations. I think the easiest one, when I'm looking right here, I'm seeing this bottom one looks pretty good. I'm going to plug in x is 3. So x is 3, plug it right in. 2 times 3 is 6, plus y is equal to 8. When I solve it by subtracting 6 from both sides, I learn that y is equal to 8 minus 6, which is 2. So if you notice right here, I have an x coordinate of 3 and a y coordinate of 2. This right here, that's the solution to the system. And it's really easy. Elimination is the greatest method out there, especially when you can eliminate a variable immediately, like we did right there with the y's, because they are opposite. So this video was just to show you a couple of ideas, couple things to look for when you're trying to determine whether or not you should solve a system by graphing. All right. Again, you need a graph and you need slope intercept form. Solve a system by substitution. You do not need a graph. but you definitely need a variable by itself. In this case, the y was by itself. And for elimination, you need to try to eliminate, to cancel out a variable. And fortunately for us, in this example, the y's easily cancel out. So this is just to help you a little bit. Hopefully you learned a little bit. And if you have questions, as usual, reach out to Mr. Robinette and myself. We'll get back to you quickly. Take care.